You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
It is time.
That's right, folks. I am Kirk M. Samuels.
And I am Jason B. Kendrick.
And we are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
That's right. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
For you.
Not for anybody else, just for you.
For you.
Just for you and your sexy butt in the chair right now.
For you, man. I just got here, dude.
I know. I wasn't talking about you, though.
I'm telling you, man. I had to get in, man. You know, one of them days.
One of them days.
Up here. Some days I get no red lights.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't that day.
No. Well, you have. I mean, it's the first. It's like it's the end of the month. It's Monday. And people had all the Verizon stuff out. I mean, it was just a crazy day.
We was getting it in, but that's all right. We here.
Mm-hmm.
We are here, man. We've been destined. We've been in the middle of this. I guess it's the middle.
Yeah, this is
week 3.
Yeah, week
3 out of 4.
3 out of 4.
We passed the middle.
We're in the third quarter.
Third quarter.
That's
Boom.
right.
We are tackling the difficult, sometimes taboo topic, but necessary to discuss topic of addiction.
Yeah, it's something that runs rampant throughout, especially the Western world and America specifically. And it's not just drugs and alcohol. It's shopping. It's iPhones.
Everything.
Sugar, caffeine. Everybody's addicted to something nowadays. And so we, as the Mad Men, as the guys who wanted to promote healthy masculinity and a healthy world for the future, we're bringing in experts who have been through this journey, who can actually talk to you about their experience and tell you that, you know what, there is hope. Because I don't care how bad we've had it. We know that there's hope out there because somebody else has been through worse.
Yeah, I mean, we might have our own experiences, but we can't replace people who, you know, it's one thing when you live in the ocean or when you swim in the ocean. It's nothing when you live in the ocean. Yeah. Right. And so when you bring in folks that live it, that breathe it, that have their hands in it, the good and the bad, the ups and the downs, the wins and the losses, all those kinds of good things. It means something, man. It means a whole lot.
Yeah, we want those guys that live it, breathe it, smoke it, sell it. We want them all.
Oh, easy,
come here and tell the story.
Easy. We don't want the people that smoke it and sell it.
Well, they used to. They used to. That's what I'm saying. They used to. They don't anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
We're not trying to promote. We're just trying to say that it didn't happen. It's not happening no more.
Because there's a lot of guys, honestly, that are in that journey. And there are even way more people who have a guy in their life that are in that journey, whether it's a brother, a father, a uncle, a husband, a friend, a neighbor, whatever. We're all impacted by addiction, man. So this is something.
Speaking of having a guy in our friendly neighborhood of Spider-Man, Brice Man, we actually brought in the man, myth, the legend, Brice Hancock. I actually added an M to your name because he's got an M. And I don't even think that's his middle name.
It's not.
That's funny.
That's okay though.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I just had your name misspelled here on my post because I'm sharing this like all of you should.
Yes. Share with your family and friends.
And luckily, we are friends on social media, so it corrected me.
Okay.
See, we need all the AI correction we can get. We need help out here
because there's not a lot of Brices with an I.
No, you're right. Mostly with
the Y. See, so I'm not the only knucklehead. I went to public school, but I do have a smartphone.
See, he's like, look, I. Well, anyway, that was a different movie. So, Brice, thank you for making the journey. I mean, obviously, traffic was awful, so thank you for making it here and being a part of the show because you're one of those guys I can run into here and there occasionally, and it's just like I gotta work with this guy. I gotta partner with this guy because it's just the energy, the knowledge, and the experience. And I think that's what we really wanted to kind of dig into is like your experience. Like, how bad did it get? How good is it now? I mean, like, what can somebody in the midst of it take away from your experience?
Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here. This is super pro. I love it. You're right. We do run in the same circles a lot, and I'm always talking recovery. It seems like any of these events, people ask me to talk addiction and then recovery. And so I think the only way to start it is to go back to childhood. And I grew up in a normal,
way back.
It's a good place to start.
In a normal middle-class family, and it was all well and good, and I was cared for, except for it was not a healthy environment for my emotional health. And so I grew up feeling apart, unlovable, unloved, kind of abandoned. And I just always had this like kind of hole in myself. Like I never felt like I fit in. And I understand a lot of us feel that way. Right? But for some reason, the way I acted and reacted to it was different than a lot of other people. I just felt like I would never be a part of it. And that's just how I was. You know, I had super low self-esteem and not a lot of value. I didn't have a lot of self-worth. And so when I was the first time I grew up having a sip of beer or a sip of scotch or whatever, you know, but the first time I got drunk, I was 14. It was me and my idiot friends. And we had taken a little bit out of every bottle from the liquor cabinet. And I had just moved to California. So I was feeling super left out, but I hooked up with these guys and we got hammered. And I remember feeling immediately better, immediately a part of the whole thing. I connected, man. Like these aren't some guys I just met. These are my lifelong friends. These are my buddies, and we're going to be together forever. Yeah. And I threw up and I woke up the next day and I said, I'm never doing this again. And I was doing it again 3 days later.
It's amazing how many similarities, because I mean, I grew up with the kind of latchkey kid, got the 70s, 80s parents, and it was like you're fed, you're clothed, your house. What else do you need? And being the only child and both parents in the military, like I had that same sort of like neglect and not knowing what it was. And then I was 13 or 14 too, like getting into the cheap tequila. And then I'll always remember the waking up in the middle of the night with my buddy trying to mop the outside of the apartment wall because I had thrown up out the window and covered the outside of the whole wall. So yeah, I resemble what you're talking about. I've had some similar experiences. Yes.
So this is at 14, and 3 days later, you back at it again.
I'm back at it again. Wow. And then I loved it. I didn't want to do anything that didn't involve getting loaded.
Wow.
So
just alcohol?
Just alcohol in high school. I mean, we smoked weed. So that's a lie. I didn't just smoke alcohol. I mean, drink alcohol. I smoked weed. But I wasn't really, I don't consider myself addicted. As soon as I turned 18 and moved out of the house and went to college, it was on. I was drinking every single night. The first semester away at college, I woke up and vomit, and I literally could have stopped right then and there. And for the rest of my life, been sober and had this story where I woke up in throw up, and everybody would be like, well, that's legit. That's a good reason to quit. I did not quit. I continued to drink for 2.5 decades at least. And so after college, I drank every day at college. Basically, I got kicked out of college, got back in college. I would drink to feel normal. I would drink to get feeling normal. And then after college, when most of my friends, transitioned to regular life and got jobs and careers, I moved to Baltimore, Maryland, and, pursued my dream to be a rock star. And within a few years, I was addicted to heroin and crack in the streets of Baltimore.
See, I almost entitled this Rockstar to Recovery. I was just like, I didn't want to go too far down that road, but it sounds like you kind of dipped your toe into it a little bit. Maybe the whole foot or leg or.
Yeah, it was gnarly. And it got real weird, real fast, buying drugs in the inner city in Baltimore. And so I crashed and burned there fairly quickly. I guess I was addicted to heroin for about a year and a half, and then moved to Colorado because my parents had moved out here and I needed to move to get away from my problems. And so I moved to Colorado in 95, 96-ish, and got a DUI as soon as I got here because I didn't know anybody. So I got to go to the bars. And so I'm trying to meet people and I'm drinking and driving, and I got a DUI. And then I moved down to Denver and I could not find heroin. I just couldn't find it. It wasn't a thing back then in Denver, but I could find crack. And so I drank a lot and I did some cocaine, and anytime I could get my hands on some pills or some opioids or whatever it was, I'd get it. But I had this dream. I wanted to be a musician, and it's hard to be a crackhead and a musician. So I was always kind of able to dial back my drug use. It would go up and then I would dial it back and just drink. And so I'm grateful for that. And so I always figured like, if I can just drink, I'll be okay. Right. And And I was for a long time. And I was playing music and I was booking my band and I was good at it. And so I started, became a booking agent. I'm booking shows at the Gothic and the Bluebird. And I was doing good at that as an outside promoter. And then I started booking clubs. Like I booked the Toad Tavern and I booked some national blues tours and I booked Herman's Hideaway. And then the guy that owned the Toad said, do you want to buy the Toad? In Littleton? It was a music club in Littleton. And I said, yeah, sure, but I don't have any money. And he said, I'll carry the loan for you, which means you own a bar. Boom. Just like that. He put me in there. He made me the owner.
Wow.
He made me the owner.
Probably not the best idea
It's
to
a
be the owner of a bar.
Terrible job for an alcoholic. And I didn't think my alcoholism could get worse. And I had no idea. It got much worse. And so I went from being like a 5 o'clock, I'm drinking every day kind of guy to I'm waking up drinking to feel normal. I'm completely physically dependent on alcohol. A typical day would be to wake up, and I was married at the time to an alcoholic, and look for, because we would play this game, like I would hide liquor and she'd hide wine, and she'd forget where she hid the wine. I'd wake up and I'd need to drink to feel normal. So I'd go to her hiding spots and find her wine. And if I couldn't find wine, I'd have to go to the bar. 7 a.m., I'd go to the bar, drink. Always, I'd wake up and throw up. I would get to the bar, I would drink, and then throw up the first drink in order to hold the other drinks down. And every day, that's how it was. So
that's crazy.
it was,
Man. That was, man. That's what you just talked about getting normal. And that's something that actually came up last week, that that getting normal is really abnormal. Getting normal is not how, what it is. Like your normal now doesn't involve, having to take something to get, to get to that. So normal is like the situation may be normal, but the dysfunction, right in the middle of the word dysfunction is fun, right? And so, getting there is a different road.
Right. So what was fun had become something totally different. It had become part of my life, and then it had become my life, and then it had replaced me totally. I was completely physically dependent on alcohol, which is difficult to get to. You really got to put in some work, because normal people are not willing to put in that kind of work, because it's rough and it's painful and your life falls apart. And I'm always in trouble, with DUIs and the police and getting kicked out of apartments and all the stuff, like losing my keys, losing my car, just all that stuff. And so I'm in the bar, I'm working in the bar, and I'm drinking all the time, and I'm always blacked out, and I'm doing weird things, like I'm going to the liquor store next door and buying booze there and hiding it in my bar. None of it makes sense. You're right, it's not normal. Normal people do not behave this way. If I'm at an AA meeting and I tell this story, everyone's nodding their head like, oh yeah, we get it, right? So I'm having all these physical problems around 2000 and 2010, 2011. And I have gout. I'm always dehydrated. Like I said, I'm throwing up blood. I'm passing blood. My weird things, like my fingernails are brittle. They're not strong anymore. They rip all the time. My hair's falling out. And I have this layer of fluid in between my stomach and my stomach lining. And I had tried to get health insurance, and they denied me.
I wonder why.
Man, that sounds like a bottomed out kind of place, man. We're gonna hit this break, and then and then we'll turn the corner when we get back and unpack some of that.
Right.
That'd be dope. We'll be right back, Mad Men and Masculinity on KLDC.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, gout's no joke, man.
It's painful.
Joints swell up, your toes swell up.
It feels like I went in, I thought I broke my foot. I said I broke my foot, and the doctor, he said, felt it out. He's like, you didn't break your foot. And he knew me. He goes, you got gout, brother. And first of all, I'm like, what kind of doctor calls me brother?
After saying you got gout. That's not when you do that.
And I said, what is that? And he said, well, that's either from drinking or, it can be from protein-rich diet. And I was like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Protein.
Protein.
Protein. Yeah. I mean, lots of steak,
brother.
Yeah. So It was painful.
That's crazy.
I still get it.
Really?
Flare-ups, yeah.
That's gotta suck.
Let's eat it.
Okay.
I'm working a timer. We're
I know.
at the beach.
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. We'll look at each other through your laptop, because when you turn your head to look at actually us in studio, it's
Don't look at you. Look ahead.
yeah, look at
Okay.
your laptop.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. And we're back.
Yeah.
This is the Mad Men of Masculinity show.
Yep. KLDC, 1220 a.m. in the Mile High City and on the
Interwebs
everywhere. I mean, globally, we are global right
We are
now.
global,
man. We are
all over the world.
planet, man.
Make sure you check us out on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube, everywhere you can get a podcast. And we are on the third quarter of the Addiction to Recovery month. And we have brought in the rock star himself, Mr. Brice Hancock.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about gout. He drank himself into gout.
Yeah.
Wow, man, that's got to be that's got to. Was that your rock bottom, like that period in life?
No.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no, I got a couple more years to go.
Oh, what would you consider to be the rock bottom, like your rock bottom moment? Like, there's the analogy, I think I made it up. The end of your rope is the beginning of your fuse.
Yeah.
Right. And so obviously you're not there now. So there was a pivotal moment. There was a crossroad that you came to. And normally for a lot of us, that happens at a rock bottom moment. What was that about?
I ended up in a psych ward.
Oh, those are fun.
A mental hospital,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah, that was my rock bottom. That's when I had to make a decision. Do I want to be a mental patient or just admit that I'm powerless over alcohol and drugs?
Wow. And was it an instant, or did that begin a journey?
Oh my God, it began the hardest journey. For me to come out of that after 2.5 decades of drinking alcoholically and doing drugs, to having to wrap my head around the fact that I could never drink again was difficult. And I realized that drinking wasn't really my problem. It was my solution. And to get rid of that, what am I left with?
The problem.
Well, I'm prone to depression, anxious. I hate everything and everybody. I hate myself, but I think I'm better than you. Very strained self-esteem and mental problems, and zero tools and zero support. And I owned a bar. Everybody I knew was an alcoholic or a drinker.
Yeah. It's so normalized that's what I think is the hardest part. Is it's not just I got to stop drinking. I have to change my entire social, economic, infrastructure. My whole world has to change to get to this place of now I can be normal without drinking. I can be normal as a sober person versus how the world is set up. Happy hour is happy hour. Everybody meets at a bar. That's where you hang out. All of my 20s and pretty much 30s was 5 nights a week at the bar. That's where we lived. And so I could imagine at that point if I said, I'm going to quit drinking forever. It's not going to happen.
I'm stuck on, you just rocked my word. You ain't realize you just rocked my, you said drinking wasn't the problem. It was the solution.
Yeah.
But we say, we people who do say, they have a drinking problem.
Yeah.
And so that's like a dichotomy. That's a, whatever the word is. That's cognitive dissonance right there. It's like, maybe we see it wrong. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know, but just the two of those, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that, you said it wasn't your problem. It was a solution. And so then conversely, it was a solution to what? It was a medication. Yeah. And so medication to what? Pain.
Feeling unloved and separated and disconnected from the world and society at large.
You even said, in your youth, you felt, even in your, your service level, great family, you felt alone and disconnected.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
It was Russell Brand wrote in his book Recovery, and he was lucky enough to get a counselor that was brilliant. And he was like, I have a drinking problem. She's like, no, that's your solution too. And good on you for having that solution to get you through, because if you didn't have that solution, who knows what you might have done. And it's a matter of replacing that solution with something else. And that's kind of to Brice's point, it's like, okay, this is not my problem. This is the solution to my problems. But now the hard work begins because I have to deal with my actual problems, my actual self-esteem, my actual self-love and respect, and build that back up without this solution, this convenient and very highly publicized solution.
Sure. And most people are able to quit drinking on their own. Most people will get a DUI, or, the doctor will tell them they have a fatty liver or whatever it is, and they'll stop and be okay. I'm an alcoholic. I consider myself an alcoholic. I have a disease, and I tried everything I could to manage it on my own. I always believed that one day my guilt would redline and I'd muster the willpower and I'd be able to quit drinking. And I never was able to do that. I had to try everything. I tried, medications and therapy and the marijuana maintenance program and all this stuff. And I am the product of a 12-step program. For me, it was the last house on the block was AA. I did not want to do it. Thought it was a cult. I just didn't want to do it, man. In that mental hospital, after the doctor told me you're a late stage alcoholic, you're not going to make it a year if you don't stop drinking. And I could not stop drinking for a day. I drank for well over a year, and then I started going to AA meetings because literally nobody else cared. Nobody wanted to help. No one knew how to help, but the people in AA cared. And so I would go to a meeting and I would leave and go, that was really weird. And I would drink, and then I would go to another meeting, and then I would do the same thing. And one day I went to a meeting and I stopped. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. I stopped, and I was able to quit for 90 days.
The question that comes to my mind, and I think this is why AA and 12 steps and group programs work so well, is that the problem that you were trying to solve with alcohol was the lack of connection and feeling seen and feeling heard. And then you go into this place where nobody else wants to talk to you. Nobody else wants to deal with you. They've all tried and failed. And you go to this place with people who know exactly what you're talking about. They know exactly the solution and the problem at its core when it comes to drinking. I think maybe in your experience, maybe that's what it was. You just finally got to a place in your first time in your life where people got it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like they would share, you go to meetings and people share, and you go around, they share, and they definitely drank the way I drink, but then they would use the word of God, and I would be like, they got him. The cult got him. And it took me a while to join the cult. It took me a while before I was willing to do the work. And now what I realize is that AA isn't about quitting drinking. It's about gaining access to a power higher than myself that can solve not just my drinking problem, all my problems. And so it was like an absence of spirituality. And I did not know that was the hole in my soul that I needed to fill it with some sense of spirituality. You can call it God, you can call it the universe. I don't care what you call it. I call it God.
Would you say that you found connection?
I absolutely found connection, and it was not easy, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, connection is not.
No, it was hard.
It's an active thing like love. I mean, it's an active word. You got to keep doing that thing. So how are you involved in the world of addiction and recovery these days?
Yeah. So 2 years sober, I was miserable and depressed. And I went to a meeting. I was telling this old timer that I'm depressed. I don't want to wake up sometimes. And he asked me, are you meditating? And I was like, I'm not that depressed. He laughed. I laughed. I heard myself say it. And I was like, God, I'm not working the program at all. And I was in therapy, and the therapist challenged me, what is your purpose? And I was like, I'm a realtor. What are you talking about? And she said, no, what's your purpose? And I started asking myself questions. What is my purpose? Who am I as a sober man? Is this all it is? Working and paying bills and trying to stay sober and going to AA? And who do I love? Who loves me? I love addicts. I love alcoholics. I get it. I walk the walk. I talk the talk. And through this odd series of events, I opened up one sober house thinking it would be a fun thing to do and give back what had freely been given to me. My depression lifted when I got that house open. Another house turned into a career. I ended up with 9 houses in the city of Denver. The city of Denver told me you can't keep doing this.
I know that area, especially there near Colfax. I think they need to have them like McDonald's. They need to be every other block.
It sounds like you on your way, man. I'm pretty sure there's not that many McDonald's along that part of Colfax anyway.
Yeah.
Right? So. And so you're involved in that. I mean, that's what you do, right, these days. Like, that's your purpose?
Well, I opened up a treatment center, too. And so there's sober housing, which is kind of like the piece after treatment centers. And when Denver told me I couldn't open up more houses, I opened up a treatment center. So now I have 30 employees 10 therapists, like 8 or 9 behavioral health techs, a doctor, a nurse, a psychiatric nurse practitioner, clinical director. And so it's a whole thing. Like with sober housing, it's like you just kind of run and gun and it's fun and it's me and my friends. With a treatment center, it's like, there's the Office of Behavioral Health oversees it. The government oversees it. I get paid based on people's insurance. So it turned into a whole thing. And I love it. And it's helping people and I'm making an impact on them.
Can you say the name of this?
Yeah, it's Mile High Recovery Center.
Okay. I mean, I ain't trying to keep it a secret or anything, man.
We want to make sure people know where to go.
Shoot.
Yeah.
We recognize the golden arches. We need to recognize what you're doing, man.
Yeah.
So there's a theme that's been going on, and it sounds like you may feel those shoes as well. But that from our pain and our addiction comes our purpose and our passion.
Yeah.
Once we go through that process, would you say that's true for you as well?
100%. That's how it works. That's how it worked for me. I can't speak for an hour on anything, except for I can speak forever on recovery and addiction and what happened. And, like in the world, there's what's going on and there's what's really going on. And I like talking about what's really going on. Like, what is going on with you, man? Like, what lights you up? What are you struggling with? And that's that kind of honesty, that kind of authenticity. It saves lives. It saved my life.
Yeah, I know. Like last time I saw you at, I think at the Denver Great Minds event, I was like, probably need to come speak up, spend a week at the Sober Living. And you're like, no, you're good. And in my mind, I'm like, what? I'm asking for help. This guy's not trying. And then I'm like, now hearing your story, I'm like, oh, I get it. I'm not, puking in the morning and having to do shots just to be normal. Like I'm just one of those poor bastards that figure out something better to do in the evenings.
I just think that you're going to be okay, man. If you really need help, let me know. We can talk after. I got a bed for you.
Oh, well, I'm home. I'm jobless and homeless now, so let's go for it.
Yeah, you make a good point. Like you don't have to be where I was to need help because, with the fentanyl crisis and what's going on today, like kids are dying that are not addicts.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we used to say, well, you got to let them hit bottom. Like you can't do that anymore. You can't let kids hit bottom because they'll die before they get to bottom.
Yeah. Speaking of, we probably, is that time?
Sure.
Okay. Why not? It looked like it was that time. Felt like it was that time. Let's make it that time. It's time for a break. We'll be right back on the Mad Men of Masculinity show. Was it close at least?
Nope.
Where was it?
Were you off?
No, well, on average between the first segment and this segment, yes.
Okay.
So you got us back on track. Right. So
you're good.
I stayed corrected.
You're good.
Oh yeah,
you don't have to be in the middle.
Okay.
Just be where you don't. Just be where you want to be. As long as
you start doing that, like looking on my head.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah, you see how we go gradient? Like mine's small, his is medium, yours is big, Kurt.
Yeah.
Well,
That's what she said.
I'll sit back. I don't want you guys to feel inferior.
But he's back up.
I'm like Pinky in the Brain. Remember that?
Pinky, what are we doing tonight, Brain?
That's what I'm like. But nah, it's all good.
Yeah, let's get into the sinners. That is dope.
Yeah, I'm curious, man, what y'all do up in that joint, man. How that rolls. Cool. Here we go. We're back.
We're back.
Yeah, we're back.
This is Mad Men Show.
We be back. We said we'd be back, and we came back.
We came back. See, we meant our word.
We keep our word, man. Some of y'all didn't believe we'd be back.
We went to public school, but we know how to keep a word at least one word at a time.
I know how to be back.
Be back.
You know what I'm saying?
Better be back. Speaking of being back, we were just talking about Brice and the recovery centers and
Mile High Recovery Center.
High Recovery. It started out as Mile High Sober Living, and now you have the recovery centers, right?
Yep.
Talk about that, because I think that's something we're very curious about. Like, what happens? Recovery center to sober living to like freedom.
So guy walks into the door. Let's just say he's at rock bottom, right? We just talked about the fact that nowadays young kids, they really don't have a floor, so hitting rock bottom to them is 6 feet under kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but let's metaphorically say, hypothetically, whatever one of those words you want to use, person walks in the door and say, "Hey, I need help. I can't do this anymore."
So what happens is when people interface with the system, the healthcare system, behavioral healthcare system, behavioral health, meaning addiction, alcoholism, eating disorders. I don't do those. I deal with alcoholism, addiction, and mental health. There's been a crisis. Someone's been kicked out of college. There's been a DUI. There's been an overdose. Somebody's in the hospital, or somebody is at rock bottom and they've been dragging the bottom for a while, and they're dying or whatever it is. So they call, and they say I need help, or it'll be a family member, my kid needs help, or whatever it is. And then I say, well, we can help. How do you want to pay? You know, what's the insurance card in your wallet? And then they pull that out, and insurance pays for certain things. They pay for group therapy, they pay for therapy, they pay for med management. And so that's what we do. I do what's called managed care, which is less sexy than just helping people and talking to people. And that's what I used to do with sober living. So now they come in, they get assigned a primary therapist. They're in residential treatment for 30 days, which means they live, eat, breathe, recovery. They are watched 24 hours a day. There's a nurse, there's a doctor. They're always around staff, and they do groups and they do individual, and they go to 12-step meetings or the gym or whatever kind of event we're doing, equine therapy or whatever. And so they're there for 30 days. They come in, they are absolutely resistant to the whole thing, because buying into long-term recovery, it's difficult and no one really wants to do it, believe it or not. And after a week or so, they say, I feel better. And it's like, you probably are better, but you're not going to stay sober. So that's why I do a long-term treatment program. After 30 days, they step down to a sober house. They get more freedom. And then they do, it's called PHP. It's an insurance code for partial hospitalization. It means 30 hours of group counseling a week. And they do that, and they live in a sober house. And then after that, they can drop down to IOP, which is intensive outpatient, which is anywhere from 9 to 15 hours. Now they can have a part-time job or a full-time job if they're crafty enough. And then after that, they will just be doing sober living. They are just living in a sober house. They're going to meetings. They've got all sober friends, hopefully. They're not in trouble with the criminal justice system anymore. And they are living their life. Like, that is, sober living is the most efficacious tool we have in the continuum of care today. But
what?
Effective.
Went to public school, man.
The most
it's
effective
the most
tool.
effective tool.
Okay.
And insurance won't cover it. So you pay rent, basically.
So it sounds like, as you do the 30-day recovery center, so I mean, you're basically cleansing the body and getting them to that like 28-day, like create a new habit sort of thing. And then you put them in those sober living so that they can continue building that habit. Is that kind of how it works?
I mean, all that really happens in residential treatment is you get detoxed, you get assessed, and you get stabilized. Like, you get detoxed, the drugs come out of your body, you get stabilized, you're going to get grilled cheese and good food, and you're going to sleep, and you get assessed. This young man has alcohol use disorder or opiate use disorder or substance use disorder. He's bipolar or whatever it is. And then you need to learn how to manage that, because it's incumbent upon you to keep yourself in recovery. You got a disease, great. It's not diabetes, it's addiction.
Yeah.
And so you need to learn how to manage that, right? And the real magic happens in sober living, because now you're in society. But as problems come up, we help you deal with those problems, so you don't immediately go out and relapse.
Right. Yeah, it's having that support and having people around that know what you're going through and are doing the same thing. So you're kind of in that group environment, and it just feels like it. And I think even with the therapy part where you're just detoxing, but you get a label. Because I mean, so many of us go around with these issues, ADHD, bipolar, schizophrenia, something, whatever it is, that we're using some kind of substance to medicate, to be our solution, our crutch. And then when you finally go somewhere, they're like, oh, no, you're just bipolar. That's why you have mood swings, or you're just, chemically imbalanced. And that's why. And so having that seems to be very helpful. Like, oh no, this is my issue. Now I know what to deal with.
Yeah. A lot of people do have outside issues besides addiction, and they do need medication. And a lot of people just have trauma from childhood. And some people are just addicts or alcoholics. I mean, it really doesn't matter. Like, we deal with the disease of addiction, substance use disorder. Everyone's different, right? No one's the same. And so we just, like I said, we teach you how to manage your disease. If you had diabetes, you'd go to the hospital and they'd spend a week teaching you how to manage your diabetes, right? You're going to take insulin. You're not going to eat donuts and bacon every day. And the problem with addiction is people, they'll go out and they'll eat donuts and bacon every day. They'll go out and they'll reuse. And so it's a problem. Like, relapsing is part of the disease. I shouldn't say that. Relapse happens, and we need to keep them, in my opinion, as long as we can in recovery, and teach them how to live life.
Yeah, just how to maintain.
What if somebody comes in with some significant, I don't know the right terminology and all those kinds of things, some significant like medical detox needs?
We send them to medical detox. Anybody who's
is that a hospital or is that?
It's like a hospital setting where there's going to be a doctor, because you can die from the withdrawals from alcohol or benzos, and you need to be managed medically. And I don't want anybody to die in our care. And so
So when they come in there, and again, I'm ignorant. I'm asking lay person questions. So this is not like a medical treatment facility. And I guess what I'm getting at is you're kind of getting them off of the ground. You're getting them launched off of the runway, right?
Yeah. Once they're stabilized from like a medical detox, which is like 5 to 7 days, then they come to us. We're still going to take their vitals. We're still going to make sure that they aren't having seizures, because if they do, they got to go back to a higher level of care. But we do, like I said, we have a doctor, we have nurses, we have a psychiatric nurse practitioner.
Wow. Yeah, I actually, in full disclosure, my wife is actually a psych nurse at a behavioral health hospital down in.
We're not gonna make any jokes about her, helping him or anything like that. He doesn't like that.
Well,
Yeah.
I need that help sometimes.
She gets him. She gets him.
Need help.
Yeah.
I have a fiance. She helps me, and she's not even a medical person.
And so, do people find some level? Because we already talked about the whole idea of connection.
Yeah.
Is there a level of connection that people find once they get into a setting like you talked about this initial 30 days? I mean, is that kind of maybe also an introduction / replacement of what they were finding? Not the maybe it's the problem that they were actually trying to medicate with the alcohol.
Yeah, you need to find your people, right? Like we want to isolate. They all say the same thing. I do better by myself. It's like, no, you don't. The disease wants you to isolate. It wants to get you away from people so that it'll tell you bad ideas in your head. But yeah, the therapeutic value that sober living has to offer, in my opinion, is the community and the culture. And, you have to find your tribe. And people get clean and sober in residential treatment often are connected to those people for the rest of their life.
So it sounds like, and I think this is something that's kind of been across the board with a lot of the episodes when we're talking about addiction recovery, is that you isolate a lot of times as part of your solution because you don't want people to see, you're acting out of shame. You don't want this to be out there. And of course, if you had people around you, then they would be like, hey, what are you doing? Why are you drinking so much? Why are you doing this? So I see a change. And so part of that addiction is just this shame and of knowing that you're having this issue and then isolating yourself so that you're not, creating extra shame. But I think that whole idea of having community around you and then getting to the point of I need help.
Yeah.
Because
there's a lot of shame associated with this disease, and there's a lot of stigma. And it's hard. It's hard to accept that you have a label now. Now, I don't want to have a label, but I do. I mean, I've accepted it now, obviously. But you're going through it with people that are going through the exact same thing. And it's helpful. And like I said, you can connect to people that will be your people for the rest of your life. And they'll call you. You don't seem okay today, Kirk. Jason, you look off today. How are you doing, man?
That's just how I look.
I'm just saying, for instance, right? Like people will say, Brice, what's going on with you, dude? You seem grumpy. And that's a symptom. I need to talk about that, right? And so it's good to find your tribe in recovery. And it's just like that sense of community, that connection. Yeah,
there's got to be a skill set you have to learn too. Because I can just assume, even from my experience, where you get so isolated that if somebody actually asks you a question, you immediately go down that shame spiral of oh, there's something wrong with me. They can see I need to go run and hide again. It's probably has to be a process of actually learning how to receive critiquing or even just attention.
The 12 steps initially helped me with that. And then, I still go to therapy. I'm 11 years sober now, but it never ends. For me, it's I always want to get better. I always want to be better. I always want to know more. I want to be a better human being, and I have to pay it forward. I got to help other people. I have to give it away to keep it, is what we say.
Is it hard for people to accept the fact that the journey is the destination?
Yeah, it takes a while to figure that out.
Right.
I thought after I got to a year, I was like,
done.
I have it.
Yeah.
And like I said, at 2 years, I was miserable. I was clinically depressed again. And so for me, it's you got to learn to enjoy the journey, right? Opening a treatment center, it's been painful, financially painful. And I've grown and I've changed and I've screwed up a lot and made a lot of mistakes. but I've learned from all of it. And you just like have these aha moments and you get struck with moments of gratitude. And like I said, I got a fiance, I have 2 kids. I love being a dad. I've got friends who are supportive, and that's the journey, right? Like we're all going through the journey. It's life. That's what normal people call life. For me, I just didn't understand it.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of us. We just kind of, because of how we grew up or whatnot, we just didn't get that lesson of this is how life goes, son. This is how life goes. And we just kind of went off on our own, doing our own thing. Then it's like, oh, wait, now I got to learn how life works.
Yeah. I was explaining to my son, who's now in the adult world. He's in the military, but now he's just going to work every day. And, you know, sometimes I just gotta say, hey man, this is adulting. You go to work and then you go home. Like this
is it, dude.
You know, like this is it. Like, you know, don't expect like the next finish line. You know, when you're in school, you're looking for the next grade or the next year or graduation or whatever. And it's like, no, man, this is just it. Because when you don't find completion, or when you don't find just fulfillment in the journey, you're always looking for a destination. And maybe for some people that destination is a high, right? But you're always looking for that destination kind of thing. And unless you're fulfilled in the moment, wherever you are in the journey, then man, you said you know you left Baltimore and you came here, you know, leaving all of that behind to get a fresh start, but you brought all of that baggage with you. You know, you didn't
wherever you go, there you
unpack
are.
the baggage, so it became luggage, right?
Wherever you go, there you are. We all do it, right? Like if I get that car, I'll be happy. If I get that girl, I'll be happy. If I get this house, then I'll be happy.
Right.
And then you realize you're still the same person with a car or a house or a girl. And you got to work on yourself. And you got to, like, I don't know, practice gratitude.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, spirituality will play into it. And, you know, it's about what I'm giving back, not what I can get.
Yeah. Yeah, if I didn't have a meditation practice, I would have definitely been in your house a long time ago.
There's a whole lot of single people looking for marriage to be the destination. When you get married, you're like, ooh, it's just hard. Hey, we'll be right back. Mad Men and Masculinity on KLDC.
Nice.
And on that note,
That's perfect.
Somebody about to get in trouble.
I know. I heard I felt my brain going.
I'm like,
don't say it. Don't say it.
Me too. I'm sitting there like, she watching. I said not say nothing.
I'm the only one that can say that because I got nobody at home right now. So he sends me the stuff to get in trouble by.
I'm like, man, we gonna go to break. Even though it's still streaming right now and she's still watching.
It was implied.
Yeah,
perfect.
She knows the deal. But
she's diagnosed him several times. She knows what she deal with.
She knows the problem. She don't know the solution.
I might have to find me one of those psych nurses too. They're gonna be like, "Oh, I get you. Okay, gotcha. You're not crazy."
It's a lucrative career.
I'm telling you, especially nowadays. Whoo! Crazy is as crazy does.
Ask her if she had any questions for you, and she's asking about a job.
We're looking for one.
Yeah.
Hey, might be a better fit, but of course that's downtown versus Parker.
Yeah.
Mm.
Who knows? How do you want to finish? What should we highlight?
Oh, I don't care. I don't know if people like to ask me, I don't know. If people need help, what do they do?
Yeah, man.
How do you know if you need help or something?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to go there.
Yeah, let's like, how do you know you need help, and then like, what are the steps, and what can you look forward to? Because I think a lot of times people just get stuck on the, I'm going to rehab.
We're back.
Guess we're back.
Yeah, Mad Men and Masculinity.
Right here on KLDC.
Yeah, fourth quarter, baby.
Fourth quarter, baby.
AM in the Mile High.
Time for that red zone offense.
City, Mile High City. Speaking with Brice Hancock of Mile High Recovery. Now, how does somebody know when they're in that? How do you know? Like, I mean, people, because I've heard that debate, argument, whatever. Like, how do you know when you got, well, we said maybe it's not a problem, maybe it's a solution. But either way, how do we know when your problem is a solution? Like, how do we know?
I don't know. Look, I didn't know. I didn't know until I was in it. But I knew when I was addicted to heroin, because if I didn't have it, I'd be physically ill. But looking back, I don't know when I became an alcoholic. People say it's genetic and that it was right from the beginning. But I look back and it was fun at first, right? And then it became not fun. And then I couldn't stop. And the trick is to not get to where you can't stop. But it happens, right? And so how do you know? I don't know. But there are resources. And what I do know is that you have to do something. Doing nothing is not okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to do something. Talk to your therapist, talk to your counselor, talk to your parents if you can. If you can't stop something, it's a problem, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, once you lose the conscious control of your actions, it's a problem. I mean, that's just it. I mean, if you want to know if you're an addict, there you go.
yeah, if you're drinking, you had a DUI, and you keep drinking, it's a problem, right?
What are you laughing about?
I'm sorry, man. My wife just texted me. She says psych nurses are just patients who escape every night.
Aha! See?
So rarely does she say something that makes me laugh out loud like that. But
that is funny because it reminds me of my mother, who is a psychiatric nurse in the Army. She's like, you turned out pretty good for a psych nurse's son. And it's like, because most of them go nuts. And I'm like, well, maybe I just hide it better. We'll see.
So
I'm trying to learn.
In terms of definition of it, I love, I've really latched onto it since I heard it several years ago. Guy by the name of Dr. Gabor Mate, 4 parts. He says you have a craving for something. You satisfy that craving with something that provides temporary relief for that craving. You can't stop seeking relief for that craving, and there's negative consequences associated with all that. Those 4 things, man. I mean, to me, there's been a lot of things that have hit maybe 2 or 3 of those, and there's been, one thing that hit all 4 of those, and that's when it was a problem and it needed to be dealt with. But when people have that problem, when they get to that crossroad, is it difficult for them to reach out to you? Because you also said that normally it's a crisis or something that brings them to you, a DUI, something, whatever. Is it like, what percentage of the time are they in some kind of like, uh-oh, this just happened, versus I'm calling you out of the blue just because I just can't do this anymore?
That happens too. I mean, some people are just like, I just can't do this anymore. I can't live like this anymore. Or sometimes there's a huge crisis. It's rare that somebody's just like, I don't know, smoking a joint a week and they go, I should really call a treatment center and work on this, right? Because it's not a problem. There's no negative consequences. And I'm not here to make people stop enjoying their life, right? It's people that are struggling that need to call, or they don't need to call me, because this is a treatment center, right? This is kind of like a serious thing. And people come to me all the time and they say, I think I'm drinking too much. Tell me, I want to do what you did. And it's like, no, you don't. I don't think you do. It's a whole thing, right? And so if you can like stop and manage on your own, awesome. If you can't, hire the big guns. Go to AA, call a treatment center. Start with outpatient treatment. Start with therapy. And if you really, really need to be taken away out of society, away from your drug of choice or of not your choice or whatever it is, that's rehab. That's treatment.
It seems like it basically boils down to, you have this thing you're using to mask the pain, to medicate yourself, and then that turns into isolation, which really exacerbates the problem. So as long as you maybe keep yourself around people who care about you and love you, and you can learn to take some constructive criticism as it were, and check yourself occasionally before it gets to that point, might be the best solution to most people, because it is so prevalent. And I know so many throughout my life, through the military, through being a truck driver, through everything else, there are so many functioning alcoholics that you don't realize how many people are struggling with that until there's actually a real conversation. That's why we're having this whole month-long series of having these conversations, to realize that it's not just the dude and the homeless guy on Colfax singing to himself and sleeping in the gutter. It could be the dude in the next cubicle, or your uncle or your brother or something like that, who's dealing with this and doesn't know how to get out, or doesn't even know yet that they really need to have a conversation, have some help. So having community around you, so that somebody can watch your back and say, hey, like Brice was saying, you don't look so good today. What's going on?
Yeah. I think alcoholism for me is the easiest. If I call myself an alcoholic, because once I have a drink, I can't stop. And if I can stop for whatever reason, I can't stay stopped. But the real test is try to do some controlled drinking. If you're used to drinking a 12-pack a night, try to drink 6. And if that's difficult for you, then you have an allergy. And so I don't drink to escape. I drink, and then I'm drinking to overcome a physical allergy. I cannot stop.
Wow.
So I'll sit down and I just want one beer, just one. And then I'll take a sip. And before I know I'm having another beer, because the allergy's on, and I'm just, then it's out of my control. I can't stop.
So explain the allergy, because it's like, is that just the fact that you want to have one drink, but then when you have the one drink, it like makes you feel worse?
It's
so
a
you got to have
phenomenon of craving. I just want more. I want a belly full, man.
I was just wondering if it was like, okay, I have to have this much to make myself feel normal, like get back to that quote unquote normal state where it's like one won't do
That's
it. I
right.
need 4 or 6.
That's more like physical dependence. Like I said, you got to work for that. Like, but early on, if I'd have one sip of beer, I was like, it is on. I can feel it. And sometimes I'd sit down and say, I just want one. And then I'd think, you know what? I changed my mind. Give me another. I did not change.
Did you change your mind, or
it's the physical? It's the allergy. It's
Wow.
the phenomenon of craving, as we call it in AA.
What's the demographic that you see in terms of age, gender, socioeconomic background, all that kind of stuff?
is it diapers to diapers, like toddlers to elderly, or?
It does not discriminate. It does
Oh, wow.
not care about race or economic status. If you got it, you got it. And I did a podcast once with 2 gentlemen about why people in the African American community don't ask for help as much. It was really enlightening, and I was the only white guy there, but it was enlightening, And the thing is, there are resources out there, and treatment centers now take Medicaid, and so there is help out there, and disease does not discriminate.
Wow. Now, do you all just do the big insurance, or do you do Medicaid too?
We
Or?
do Medicaid too. Yeah, we do Medicaid too. And I'll tell people all the time, if they say, I don't have insurance, no one wants to help me. It's like, well, go to AA, dude, because you're going to end up there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
How much now, and this is just kind of behind the scenes too. So how much regulation is that for you? Because I mean, I'd imagine, your passion is your purpose, and it's also your business, for lack of a better word. I mean, you have this entity, this center. And when you talk about insurance, when you talk about the government, you mentioned earlier that the city of Denver said no more and all that kind of stuff. How much adversity do you face in trying to help those who need the help the most in this area?
It's a lot, man. It's like I should be able to open up these treatment centers all day long. And right now I'm getting ready to sue the city of Denver again. And it sucks because at the end of the day, I just want to help people.
Right.
I love going to sleep. I am addicted to the miracle of watching people get better. It lights me up. And it has intrinsic value all its own, just watching people get better. Being able to make a living is just cherry on top.
Yeah. I mean, and I think I hope you're doing well. In a way, I want to say I hope you're doing well, but that means business is good, which means there's a lot of addict. But at the same time, well, I hope that you're able to help other people and benefit personally from doing that. I don't see anything wrong with somebody, having a passion that's your purpose, that's your profit.
Yeah, well, the vibe in AA is the 12th step is you have to give back, you have to help, you have to carry the message to others, and if you don't, you're going to drink and you're going to die.
I think that's actually probably if people would jump to the 12th step as soon as they start thinking I might have an issue. You start doing something out of service to other people. It's probably most likely going to fill the hole and help with the thing that you're trying to medicate anyway.
What cured my depression, and it turned into a career.
Yeah. And that's the purpose part of it, because when you are in the depths of addiction, there's no purpose in your life.
None.
I mean, you're seeking, but you're not seeking anything tangible. That's a purpose that does able to light up those parts of the brain that that a high can. And so when you have that purpose, man, that is a game changer for life, period.
It is. You're right.
And every one of us, including every man, should definitely have a purpose. If you're not having purpose, you're destined to fill that void with something artificial.
If you don't have a purpose, that's it. Right now, that's your number one goal is to find your purpose.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean don't work. It doesn't mean don't do anything. In the process, it means start looking for your purpose. What lights you up?
And for a lot of us, I mean, especially for those guys who may be struggling with finding what that is, a lot of times you have to dig into your closet. You have to dig into your sewer and figure out your pain points, because so many of us, especially as men today, it's our purpose comes from our pain. And if we're not willing to dig into that pain and look at what we're masking, what we're medicating, we're not going to find our purpose, and then we're end up slowly dying from the medication.
If folks want to get a hold of, we got a couple minutes left, but if folks want to, I don't want to wait till the very last 10 seconds. If folks want to get a hold of Mile High Recovery Center, how do they do that?
milehighrecoverycenter.com.
I'm typing this in.
They got a phone number?
It's on there.
Okay.
You go on there, you click it, call now, and then you'll ring us, and you're going to call somebody who's in recovery. They're awesome. They're passionate. They're awesome.
Nice. Everybody's awesome.
Yeah.
Everything is awesome, except for I'm an addict.
I've attracted great employees where they're living the 12 step too.
Nice. Yeah, it's one of those things that we just to the point of reality in the world today. we need to make the fact that addiction is, we need to normalize the fact that people have addictions, and not just those that are in the streets and this whatnot, but like everybody nowadays. I mean, that's how we're marketed to. It's all, you know, the cell phones, the social media, sugar, fat, shopping. I mean, you just go down the list. Like everybody's addicted to something.
Everybody has somebody, a loved one somewhere, a family member, a neighbor that has a problem with substances or drinks too much and is always in trouble and just can't seem to stop. Everybody knows somebody like that.
Hey, super quick. Do you have to know the pain in order to treat the pain?
No, but it sure helps. Because I'm not just, you know, it's like my company is a grassroots company. I'm doing this because it keeps me sober. I'm giving back because it was freely given to me. I found magic and I want them to find magic, you know? So I walk the walk. Yeah,
there was a definition of addiction. Like Kirk talked about his from Gabor Mate, but there was one that kind of hit me that I was like, okay, I need to keep spreading this, is that addiction is giving up everything else for one thing. But all you have to do is give up that one thing to gain everything else. But
man,
don't see that.
Bright, thanks for coming through here, man. You're a real deal, man. I mean, you are the real deal.
So are you. I know you struggled yourself.
You know, I definitely got some stripes from the battle.
He didn't even tell his story. You got to get him to tell his story.
Man, it's pretty cool. And a lot of stuff that you do, man. We've crossed paths several times. I think the last time I saw you was actually something down at it might have been down at your center there. I don't know, but anyhow, yeah, man. Thank you for everything you do, man. Seriously, people like you are the unsung heroes in our community. And man, I hope everything you do gets poured back into your life tenfold, man. I appreciate that.
You. Thank you.
Speaking of that, when's your next show? Because I know some people like to hear the music and don't want
to. So I haven't been playing here in Denver much. I got a band in Baltimore now.
Oh, wow.
Three of the dudes live in Florida. We've been writing songs called Ephraim Bonus.
Okay.
EphraimBonus.com. We've been doing videos, writing songs. It's awesome.
Hey, buy the music, man. Yeah. Make sure you support this guy in every way you can. Buy his music, support the sober living houses, support the treatment center, support Brice Hancock, because this is one of those angels on earth. He may look like he's rough and tough, but he's got a heart of gold and he does good work.
Thanks.
And check out your boys, madmanradio.com. Of course, we're here twice a week. We over the air, 12:20 a.m. in the Mile High City, and social media, all that kind of stuff everywhere, man. You know, we're just out here doing our thing, man. Just trying to make the world a better place. Doing what we do for everyone, but especially men, because when men are better, everybody's better. And so with that, we will holler at y'all later. We are out.